Well, a very good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you might be in the world. Here in Perth, West Australia, it is a glorious day. Thank God for that. We've got blue skies and sunshine again, and I hope you're having a lovely day where you are. Before I get into the channel or the discussion today, first of all, allow me to welcome you to the channel, or welcome back if you're a returning visitor, and to thank you for being part of my journey. Just running through the normal stuff that I do each time I record a video, because I recognize there may be new people to the channel and they're not familiar with the way I work, which is basically that I share information with you. I invite you to share your information with me and other people that might visit the channel, just on your experiences of working with crystals. That's always valued and appreciated. Also helps to keep me motivated, if I can speak. I do tend to go down a bit of a tangent every now and again, even though I do transcripts basically to prompt my conversations. I like to be pretty organic with the way I deliver it, but I realise that time is a premium for a lot of people. So what I try and do is make sure that all the videos I load, doesn't matter what the video is, that I have timing stamps in the description so you can just jump to the areas of interest. I think I've covered the basics of how we work here, and so I'll just jump straight in, because I'm going to try and keep the video a bit on the shorter side today. As I say, time is a bit premium. Anyway, okay, moving on. Today we're going to be talking about PETALITE. Now, PETALITE is not a crystal that I've personally used. I don't have any experience with it, so all my information is based on what I've heard, what I've seen, and through interacting with other people. So from this perspective, absolutely, I encourage anybody with experience to actually leave a comment. So I first heard about PETALITE when I was educating myself. Oh, this is many years ago, with my friend who had his crystal retail and wholesale business. And anyway, so he had some PETALITE, but I didn't actually use it, and I don't actually have any real memories about it. But as part of my own growth and development, I educated myself somewhat on the Synergy 12, and this is where I first heard about PETALITE, but I actually haven't worked with it. So anyway, apparently it does carry, not so as I can see, this is based on the research, a resemblance to diamonds or even tourmaline. But yeah, not so I'm seeing it. When I look at this particular image, I do feel that it's quite an unusual one. I definitely would like to add it to my collection and try and work with it. But anyway, the word PETALITE is apparently derived from the Greek word, which means leaf. Petalon is actually the Greek word and apparently means leaf. If you're Greek, correct us if we're wrong, because apparently there's a resemblance within the stone's cleavage to a leaf structure. So anyway, moving on, it apparently does captivate the interest of people from different demographics, whether it's the metaphysical workers or the people that are into collecting mineral specimens or geologists. Now, as far as the chakras go, PETALITE is associated with the crown, brow, and heart chakras. But I would go as far as saying, look, it's also connected to what we call the rainbow chakra. And most of the crystals that have clearness in them anyway, they are associated with the higher chakra, usually, because there's another chakra up above that actually is transparent or clear. And that's probably a bit complex to be talking about now. But anyway, yes, definitely the rainbow chakra. And this is because of the attributes too. It's not just about the color that you see, but when people start making attributions, if you like, towards a crystal in regard to celestial and higher realms, then you actually know that it is associated with the angels, and angelic connections are associated through the rainbow chakra as well. So to summarise, and we will talk about the attributes more specifically in the slides down the track, but it is referred to as a stone of angels or a stone of intent. And I think the stone of intent really probably should be called purity of intent, if that's what people are talking about. And this is a key aspect of when we're doing our spiritual growth and development and trying to connect with the higher beings and to expand our conscious awareness, to go to those higher vibrations and raise our light levels, there is that necessity, I believe, to do the purification of your intent to, how would I describe that actually? To not, okay, the intention, when we've purified our intention, we're not attempting to apply our personal will over a person, a situation, or whatever. We are willing to go with the flow of the divine will. So there is the divine alignment attached to that intention. I could probably do a whole discussion on purification of intent, but I think I will avoid it for now because it will take a long time to actually discuss that, I imagine. But look, if you've got pure intention, you're hoping for the best possible outcomes for all people, and you've managed to let go of judgment of the situation and the people around you, if you're directing healing energy to it. And this is because when we have an intention to do good, unless we are fully informed with the entire big picture, we may actually create harm unintentionally, if that makes sense. So that is why we do by divine will, or when I do invocations, I do the by divine will under grace, this kind of thing, because it might, I want to ensure that any of my actions and intentions don't sway an outcome for another person, is probably the best way to explain it. And it's, my intention is aligned with the fact that I'm aware that for all actions there is a karmic response, and I want to ensure that my actions create positive karma. Okay. And when we talk about positive and negative, it's possible to actually go down that pathway of being judgmental, or, that felt good, that didn't, so this was good and that was bad. It's not about that. It's about the fact that, for me, the way I look at it is that some karma can be actually quite painful to walk and live through. And well, call me, I think I'm just human. I would prefer to avoid some of those painful experiences. I figure at this stage of my life, I actually am looking for the peaceful pathway. I've tried that rocky pathway in the past, and, you just get too old and your body wears out and your mind wears out and that kind of thing. And it's like, can we just have easy street, please, when it comes to karma? Anyway, that was my first waffle. So anyway, there is the link, the attributes of this cosmic consciousness, and that's when I talk about the big picture, where there is a lot more going on, and also the recognition that we are all connected to each other. We're all individuals within this great big universal jumble, and we all carry the spark of the divine within. And I am a believer that this is where that saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, comes in. And this is because when we finally recognize that all of us carry a divine spark, that we're all one spark of this great big bright mass, we recognize that what we do to another person, we actually are going to incur and feel those consequences at one level or another. So it's about caring for the collective as well. So as far as the zodiac, the astro, star signs and that kind of thing, it's actually recommended for those people with the star sign Leo and Pisces. This is what I've seen. However, those people that are new to the channel, you won't be aware that my personal position is that you don't allow your star sign to dictate what crystals you're going to buy or what you aren't. My understanding is that when there's recommendations for a star sign, it's because they may benefit from it more than others. But I am a big believer the best way to determine whether or not you should purchase or get a crystal is actually by holding it and feeling it, and then you will know whether or not your soul is screaming for that particular crystal or its attributes. And so, don't let, if you wanted PETALITE, where I'm going with this is, if you're not a Leo and a Pisces, just go and buy it anyway if you feel drawn to it. And if you are a Leo and a Pisces and you're not drawn to it, well, then don't get it, okay? It's not that difficult. There'll be other crystals that carry the same attributes. So petalite also has another name. It's called casterite. I think that's how you pronounce it. Um, so gem quality petalite is actually very rare. Okay, but petalite in itself apparently is not so rare. There's a number of different sources that you can find. But for us as metaphysical users of crystals who love them, um, its hardness is 6.5, so it's not particularly hard. It's got a level of softness to it. You'd need to be a bit careful about how you use it. As far as its transparency goes, yes, it is generally transparent to translucent. And what else have I got here? Just that it's used economically as well. And when we talk about economic applications, we're talking about trade. Um, you know, well, obviously it's got toxicity here. It's got lithium and aluminium in it. So straight away you should be able to tell that it can be a component in products. And apparently the first economic application of petalite was for ceramic cookware. I mean, work that out. The other thing that I learned in the process of making this video was that there are plenty of economic deposits around. This is that stuff that they use commercially, and that includes near Kalgoorlie in Western Australia, which is a town that I lived in. There's some in Brazil, Namibia, Canada, and Zimbabwe is the commercial use ones as well. Anyway, because it's used commercially as well, it is also becoming more expensive, so it's worth knowing that. And think on this: lithium. If it's got lithium in it, that's used in batteries and electric vehicles. So you can see that actually petalite, when you start thinking a little bit forward thinking, because of the lithium, it will actually continue to be in demand while we're looking for the electric products, and apparently they're growth businesses, or I can't think of the word, growth manufacturer at the moment. If you've got wanting to get the nice pieces, the gem quality, that's very rare, okay? And the gem quality will be obviously the beautiful crystal clear ones, I would imagine. Now, that being said, as far as it being rare and pricey, while I was doing my research, and I've put these images up here, I did find pink petalite, which seems to be an abundance of pink petalite on the market being sold, and that actually looks to be fairly cheap, really, for want of a better description. But if you've got anything pink, that's actually going to work really well with your heart chakra, if that's what you're looking for. What else have I got? Oh, I did see that some of the petalite is actually quite cheap on the platforms, such as the Etsy's and that kind of stuff, which I've got to be honest, I find that a little bit disturbing. Because I think it's very, very difficult on those types of platforms to really get any quality assurance there about what you're actually buying. In my experience, and I have done it a couple of times, and I got burned really badly the other day from an impulse buy on Etsy. They don't, some places that you go to, or that I go to do my purchasing, they will send me photographs of all different angles of a particular crystal. They might even take videos of it for me and show me it under different lights so that I can see the patterning and the color tones and all the rest of it. Whereas on the platforms such as, Etsy and Temu and that kind of stuff, they just don't seem to be set up to do that. So it becomes very dodgy doing your purchasing. So bearing that in mind as well, not only can you not do quality assurance, my recommendation would be to try and get very clear answers on what is the weight of the item, what is the dimensions of it, as well as what the cost is, because of course if you're buying from overseas, you've got currency conversions and there can be fees involved with currency conversion, and then the freight forwarding could be really quite excessive. So yeah, you've got to be a little bit careful there. Now, I'm just thinking, there was a tip that I had the other day. Yes, the misnaming of an item. So where I got burned because it was an impulse buy, I was looking for some tanzanite, which is quite rare, and I saw it. I can't remember if it was Etsy or somewhere like that, but definitely I didn't do my homework. I just clicked on it, said tumbled. I had a look at it, tumbled raw actually, which was what I wanted. And it had photographs, and I thought, oh yeah, that looks great. Forgot all of my own advice, ordered the items, and believe you me, they were probably 4 millimeters across. I got ripped off badly. So let that be a lesson to all of us. The freight was reasonably cheap, but yeah, that will be getting returned to sender. Anyway, moving on to what we're looking at here, you can see that PETALITE is not just pink. You've got the clear whitish type, you've got this lemony type yellow one, and you also have the one that's a bit more golden and even honey-like. So as far as the spiritual attributes go, yes, we will look at it in more detail here. You can see that there's a number of them, primarily around the purification of the aura, the intention, all of that kind of thing. So it is based on that attribute in itself. It's a high vibrational crystal because it's about lightening up a person's aura as well, which that's the activation or speeding up the molecular structure, I guess is probably the best way to describe it, of the aura, to allow more light to come in to the person's aura, which of course has all these flow-on effects. When we're working with high vibrational energy, this is where the psychic gifts really come to the fore. So you can see that it is believed to promote the attributes of spiritual communication. That can be telepathy as well. From person to person. For example, you might find that you think of a person, they immediately call you, and that's because they've picked up on the thought vibration that goes over to them. When we talk about communication with spirit and the higher celestial realms, celestial beings, we're talking often about communication via symbolism. So it's believed to help a person to understand symbolism and to sharpen their clairs, which of course that's clairvoyance, the vision, clairsentience, smelling, clairaudio, hearing, that kind of thing. It's also believed to support people who are looking to channel energy, so very much recommended and directed towards the metaphysical healers. And when we talk about channeling, it's not just about channeling healing energy, which of course that's a big factor of it when we think about channeling. There's also things such as channeling guided messages, and I should have put on this slide, I might do it if I remember by the time I complete recording it. There's many things that a person can do, such as auto writing or psychic artists, things like that. They're the types of gifts that a person could develop, or if you're into that kind of thing, you might want to wear a piece of PETALITE while you're doing it. So we've got mediumship, which is the communication with the spirits that have transcended from their bodies, that have transitioned to the other side. Now, I think what I find attractive about PETALITE is, in my experience, when you're working with these really high vibrational crystals, you can become heady and off with the fairies, and basically, I always say to people, be careful. If you're going to work with higher chakras, make sure you ground afterwards, because otherwise you'll just be completely off with the fairies and miss all the signs in your practical existence and create basically a lot of pain for yourself at different times. This is what I've done. I'm speaking from experience. Just because I'm so off with the fairies, literally, that I'm not seeing what's happening in my direct physical environment, and that could be family relationships, stepping over boundaries with people, not seeing their boundaries because I'm just, so distracted. But anyway, going back to the attributes of PETALITE, apparently it offers grounding at the same time as opening up these higher realms for us to explore. So it's associated with spiritual development as well, as part of that expanded awareness and understanding. What I found interesting as far as an attribute goes is this business of karma and karmic relationships. Apparently it's attributed to remove negativity from karmic relationships. I'm always a little concerned, I must say, when I see and hear these types of things, because my understanding is karmic relationships are those, like you might have, everybody wants to find their soulmate or their twin flame and all of that kind of thing. But oftentimes the soulmate relationships are ones that it is a matter of resolving issues from past life to be able to move forward in the current one, and also to get closure on some of these relationships that might not be part of our soul pack or whatever. They're just people that we've known in a previous life. So speaking of past life, of course, there is the attribute of being able to access past life, and to explore it, and if there is unresolved issues, to heal it as well. Believed to be very beneficial for those people actively trying to manifest, because of that purification of intent and the alignment of personal will with divine will. Also believed to offer protection, as in shielding the aura to repel negativity away. And of course, when you're working with the higher chakras and the higher energies, you're connecting to the universal pool of knowledge or source wisdom, and being able to channel that down into the current existence. So, in regard to the physical attributes, just a reminder, whether it's a physical or emotional or mental type health condition, you would not disengage from your treating professionals to work with crystals. What you could do, of course, is use your crystals in conjunction with your treatment planning. And if you've got any concerns, always speak with your doctor. What was I going to say with that? Just the reminder that there's no evidence base to crystals being physically beneficial or emotionally beneficial. Anyway, that being said and done, it's supposed to support good brain health, processing, which that would include the neuropathy and that kind of thing, neural pathways, balancing the left and right hemispheres, making it beneficial for those people that suffer from ADD and ADHD type conditions as well. I've put cancer on here, not because it's supposed to heal cancer, but rather support a person through any cancer treatments that they're undergoing. Cellular health, it's supposed to help with the DNA, blood circulation and oxygenation, digestion, because that's all part of it anyway. The endocrine system, if I can speak, which of course includes hormonal balance, your pituitary, I can't speak at the moment, pituitary and pineal glands. Recommended for people with poor eyesight or with eye problems, to help with their eye health and vision. When it comes, excuse me as I swallow, when it comes to the metabolism, it's believed to support the absorption of the nutrients and minerals. Now, when we're talking about nutrient and mineral absorption, don't forget that the body actually creates its own, and I can't think of the word, the body needs to have certain nutrients and minerals to be able to manufacture certain chemicals in the body, like melatonin is the one that comes to mind straight away. We need to be taking in vitamin D and things like that, so the body can actually manufacture those and have them at the healthy levels for us. Other aspects or attributes include the muscles and the ligaments. If people suffer from muscle spasms and cramps, it's supposed to help relieve those. It's supposed to help relieve growing pains, especially in children. And if you've got torn muscles or ligaments, it's supposed to speed up the process of healing and repair for them. Recommended for the organs of the heart, the lungs, the respiratory system, and just overall cardiovascular health. And if a person is suffering from pain, they might want to wear a bit of it because it's supposed to relieve pain as well. So when it comes to the emotional and mental attributes, if you like, you can see there's a whole range of them here. And the PETALITE is primarily directed to emotional pain and healing it, and emotional pain can manifest as mood disorders or behavioral disorders. So it would be beneficial if people are suffering from that. Karma, once again, has been attributed here. But basically, my understanding is that this is about being able to work through those karmic debt, if you like, with a level of ease, which is, sometimes it's just stuff that we've got to go through, and to be able to accept it and release resistance in that process. So speaking of emotional pain and suffering, it's also recommended for people that have got experiences of trauma to purify the way that they view that experience of pain that they've been through. And that's all part of helping to move beyond those limitations, because trauma can be a huge block for people in moving forwards. If people suffer from sleep disorders, struggling to get to sleep, or being woken throughout the night, it's supposed to be beneficial to help have healthy sleep. And the rest of them, I'll just let you take a look at yourself. It is supposed to enhance focus and concentration, which would make it beneficial for those people that are studying and learning new information, whether that's at a university or just trying to learn and understand the spiritual information that comes through to them. In regards to how you could use PETALITE, obviously there's a number of different options. You could put it out in the environment and use it as an ornament because it's got the purification properties. So, it would be good in the living room if you've got a lot of family stuff happening. It might help to soothe and calm people's emotions in those areas, especially if it's a bit on the volatile. It doesn't need to be a great big carving. When my children were home, when they were younger and there was a lot of movement around the house, I used to use tumbled stones of, whatever one that I was into. There would always be some scattered around and some carved pieces and some rough pieces and that kind of thing as well. So you could do that with PETALITE too. But having said that, it all depends on the type of PETALITE that you've got. If you've got a really nice specimen, you probably wouldn't want to have it lying around. And my thought with that is where you get little hands in, because I say this with humour, because I used to have my tumbleds all around. When people would come over with the small children of about 4 years old, their little hands, they're like magpies. They are drawn to sparkly things. And I'll always remember one child going out the front door and the mother turning around and looking at it and hearing it clunk as it went through. And she said, "Let me take a look at your pockets." And they were absolutely full of tumbled stones. So this little child was like a magpie. So you've got to think of those kind of things if you put them out in the environment. And if you've got a really nice piece of PETALITE, you really wouldn't want to see a kid walking out the door with it. However, going back to ways that you could use it, certainly I would recommend it if you've got a lot of people that are into the spiritual and the metaphysical. They might have an angel altar or a sacred space that they set up, where it might be where they pull a card each day, or they try and do their meditation and connect to the higher realms. You could put a piece of PETALITE on that table. If you're into doing the crystal healing, if you're one of the metaphysical workers that uses crystals and does gridding, you could use it for that. Don't think because of the lithium content that you would put it in a, what are they called, elixir. I don't think it's suitable for water immersion for that. Definitely you could meditate with it, hold it, and you could, if you've got a nice piece as a pendant, would be my preference for an amulet or talisman, if that's what you're into. Definitely as a jewelry item if you're trying to raise your vibration on a daily level. What else have I got? People that are recovering from cancer, I mean, they might want to, if they've just got the specimen, that might be a bra job. You'd have to be a bit careful, or wear in your pocket, but a pendant would be better. If you're trying to overcome eating disorders or digestive issues, same thing, you could wear it. Or the other alternative is that you could place it in your eating area. If you've got problems with your eyes, you could put some on your bedside table or under your pillow. Really depends on your room setup. Once again, I would say if you're going to do that kind of thing, though, pop your specimen into perhaps a cotton little pouch or something like that, so that you can find it easily, because we do tend to move around and sometimes they can get lost in the bedclothes. Okay, wearing it is also a good idea for people with lung issues or breathing problems. But at the same time, if you've got breathing disorders and you do the breath work activities, to expand the lung capacity and that kind of thing, you could probably practice doing breathing while holding a bit of the PETALITE against your chest to maximize the attributes, if you like. It doesn't have to go against your chest, though. You can simply hold it in your hand. Now, as with my video on Danburite, PETALITE also would not be a crystal that I would be popping into what I call my Lucky Dip crystal bowl, which is full of all sorts of crystals for people to, close their hands, a bit like a lucky dip. I wouldn't have PETALITE in there because it's a little bit soft, and it might get scratched by some of the other crystals. So that would be a barrier there. But if somebody was drawn to the PETALITE, then I would be asking them or suggesting to them that perhaps they reflect upon their intention for the actions that they take and for their thoughts, because realistically, and I started trying to talk about this before and then cut it off. Okay, so ultimately, even if we believe that we are trying to do something to help another person, there is going to be a selfish underpinning to it, okay? Because it was put to me many years ago that when we give to other people, quite often it goes past our conscious awareness that we give to other people because it makes us feel good. So we're getting something out of the gifting as well. That's not a bad thing, right? If your focus and intention is to do something that helps another person on their journey, and you reap the positive karma of feeling good, I mean, that's great. But if your motivation is to feel good, and the way you feel good is because you do things for people or you say things to people, then of course your primary motivation, your primary intention is actually about yourself. So that becomes questionable intent and questionable motivation. So I would be saying to people, look, okay, well, what's your intention? What's your motivation with your course of actions? Allow karma to unfold itself. There is no need, obviously, to sacrifice to help other people as well. There's so many different things that can make a person's actions a little bit questionable, not necessarily bad, dark, or whatever, but questionable, I think, is good. And so it would be encouraging you to take a look at what it is that you're hoping to achieve by the actions and the thoughts and the speak of what you're doing. But there is an additional message that I would say with this, is that it's not just about looking at your intention, but rather asking the question, is your desire to raise and maximize your light levels? In which case, then there is a strategy that you can do, which is to start working with the white light and bringing more of it into your aura. And there are strategies and techniques for doing invocation and that kind of thing. But my suggestion would be that you do an invocation, and that you, in this invocation and request or prayer, whatever you want to call it, that your light levels be raised to the maximum that you can carry, and that you commit to doing this activity on a regular basis, because it is a gradual process. And the more you do it, the more your aura will become lighter, as in brighter, lighter, and it's a series of steps. So be committed and stick to it. As far as crystal care goes, I mean, there's a twofold approach to this. And one is, how do you care for a crystal just physically, if it gets a bit on the grotty side and that kind of thing. And then the other thing is, how do you care for it metaphysically, which is to keep the energy of the crystal light and bright. So from what I understand, physically, PETALITE is not a super hard crystal, so you'll need to handle it with a certain amount of care. If you've got it as a jewelry item, of course, the setting that it's in is going to dictate how you care for it as well. I have got a video, and I'll put the link in, on basically caring for your crystals as well. There's so many different methods for doing things, and a lot of it is dictated by belief. But back to the basic functions, if you've got a jewelry piece, I would avoid using the ultrasonic cleansers. They're just something that I'm very, very dubious about. I don't honestly know how PETALITE would handle it. I think it would cope with an organic cleanser and a bit of a rinse if it needed a physical rinse. Highly unlikely. Probably a bit of a dust would be perfectly fine. My gut instinct is, if you're one of those people, and I am one of them, I like to actually, from time to time, cleanse my crystals in running water or flowing water, which is actually a stream. And I haven't done it for a long time. But I would imagine that PETALITE would be okay if you were to put it in a muslin bag or something like that, and then secure it so it doesn't float off down the stream. to get that flowing water through it as part of the purification process. But I mean, it does purification anyway, so it might be unnecessary. I'm not aware whether or not petalite is considered to be an absorber of negative energy, and I don't think it is. Um, and I certainly haven't held it to try and work it out. Because it repels negativity, I would say that it probably doesn't need to be cleared very often. However, metaphysically, my preference is to lay everything on selenite. I use selenite, I use incense. They're my fallback options. Every now and again, when I feel that my crystals need a little bit more of a cleanse or a charge or whatever, I may put them outside, not under direct sunlight, but filtered sunlight. Because I've got a grapevine here, I just put them outside under that, and then they get that ambient sunlight. Every now and again, I will put them out for the full moon, and other times I actually quite enjoy putting them out on a full moon on a night where it's raining. But I don't do those a lot of times, but by all means, share your tips and strategies with us. Pink petalite actually can fade if it's left in the sun, so worth remembering that if you want to keep the pink in your pink petalite. So, my friends, I think that's about all the information I can share with you today. I look forward to seeing and hearing your comments, your experiences, if you've worked with or used petalite. That would be really good. What might be good too is if you actually know where I can source some petalite, that is the genuine article, at a reasonable price. Now, I have my website, lorenaslabyrinth.com, and I've got a contact form there. So if you know where I can get it, I would definitely be interested in hearing from you. And just a reminder that when it comes to currency conversion, Australian dollar performs quite badly against the euro and against the US dollar. And also any freight from the US to Australia is just super exorbitant. It's very expensive. And that's a big deterrent to me buying from the US at the moment. But anyway, that being said and done, I would like to thank you for being part of my journey today. I'm going to close out now, wishing you a wonderful day, wonderful week. Catch you on the next video. Bye bye for now.